Well, welcome back to the arcade. At the end of the last video, if you watched it, and for those who didn't, we've been working on this Popeye board, trying to get it to work. And it seems like that we finally got it working 100% with one small problem. The video is inverted. Now, we know that Nintendo boards like Donkey Kong Jr., and Popeye, as well as some others, output a reversed video opposite from the majority of most video games. So if you hook it up to a standard monitor, you're going to get a reverse image. In other words, like in Donkey Kong, the background is going to be white instead of black. So it's just like you're looking at a negative. And that's what's happening here. But I don't understand it because even though I'm using a standard monitor and a standard JAMA cabinet, I'm using the Mike's Arcade adapter, which has a built-in inverter, which is designed to take that reverse or inverted video and invert it back into the standard video signal, so it should display properly on the monitor. Now, I have seen where some people reburn the video proms on the board. I believe they reversed the information, reversed the digital information on the ROM, which allows it to output standard video, which will work on a standard monitor. And but the proms on this board are labeled with what looks like factory labels. So I don't know whether somebody just made some labels that look like the factory labels, because the proms, I'm pretty sure you can't reprogram them. Once you program a prom, that's it. So question I have is, did Nintendo ever come out with any boards that had the proms already reversed so that they could use on a standard monitor, like maybe in a kit? I don't know. I haven't found any information on that. So what I have to find out is what's causing this video to be inversed. Is it the proms on the board? Are the proms correct? Are they reburnt proms modified? How am I going to find this out? Well, the easy way would be to take the board out in my garage. I have a Donkey Kong Jr. Cocktail I've had for about, 15 years now, and it's been out in the garage for about 10 years. Now, when I got the game, it was converted into an 8-ball action, but it had a Donkey Kong Jr. board that was converted. Well, I had a gentleman down in North Carolina. His name is Dave. Dave G. I'm just going to call him Dave G. He had a business, I believe it was Electronic Amusements, if my memory is correct or whatever. Back in that time, he was doing the double Donkey Kong conversions. So I sent the board to him, and he converted it for me. I got it back, put it in the cocktail, worked great, and it was in the arcade here for maybe 5 years or so, till one of the hurricanes, my roof leaked and water came in here, and I had to clear everything out of the room here, and I put a lot of my games out in the garage, and the game has been out there ever since. So this past summer, I was out trying to clean the garage up and trying to get things organized. I dug the Donkey Kong Jr. cocktail out, and I fired it up, and the monitor has gone into collapse. I guess vertical collapse. It's got a line in the middle of the screen, a thin line. The game would boot up and play, so it was basically playing blind, except for that one little streak of color in the center of the monitor was wide enough to where you could see video was going on. So I'm pretty sure the board is working. It's just that I'm going to have to pull that monitor and fix it. Well, I got to thinking, I said, well, a quick test would be to just pull the double Donkey Kong board out of the cocktail and bring it in here, plug it up to the Mike's Arcade adapter, fire it up and see what happens. So that's what I've done. Here is my double Donkey Kong board. I got it hooked up. I haven't tried it yet. Now I put it upside down because when I was troubleshooting in the cocktail, sometimes, and one time before, these two pots right here control the size of the video, control the height and the width. And sometimes these pots get crusty and they don't make good contact on the wipers, and I figured that might have been causing the collapse in the video. Turns out it wasn't, but I adjusted the pots back and forth a couple times, so they're probably a little bit out of whack. So I decided to turn the board upside down so I could have access to the pots. So if we have to straighten it up, that's the reason why. So, okay, well, we're going to cross our fingers here, and I'm going to apply power to it, and let's see if the game comes up, and let's see if we have inverted video, or if the Mike's adapter inverts the video over to something that the standard resolution monitor here can deal with. So let's go ahead and fire it up and see what happens. Cross the fingers. Well, that's a good sign. I heard the little bing. Huh. Well, that's not good. All right, let me try that again. All right, well, I guess it's not working. I'm pretty sure that's on free play. But just in case, nope. Wah, wah, wah. I'm just having terrible luck. Okay, well, let me get out the voltmeter and we'll check the voltage, and we'll check the connections. We'll go through the normal routine and see if we can find something. All right, well, here's the latest update. Turns out that when I hooked my double Donkey Kong or Donkey Kong Jr. board set up to my JAMA cabinet here, it didn't have a chance, because I looked at the power supply, and in this JAMA cabinet, the negative 5 volts has never been connected. So there is no negative 5 volts in the JAMA harness. And Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. both need negative 5 volts. Popeye, on the other hand, does not need negative 5 volts. So that's why this board is working. So I went ahead and took the double Donkey Kong or Donkey Kong Jr. board back out to the cocktail where I got it from and put it in and tried it, and it's still got a board problem. Even though I knew the monitor had a problem, but the last time I'd fired it up this past summer, the board was playing blind. Well, when I fired it up one time, it fired up and seemed like it was working. The game started and I was playing a game, but as soon as I did a control input, it sounded like it was in Donkey Kong. And so when I did a control input, he died. So then I turned it off, turned it back on. Then it started playing a music that I'd never heard before. It was obviously a Nintendo Donkey Kong-ish music, but I don't know what part of the game it was from. And then I tried it a few more times and I couldn't get nothing but the start twang, a little noise it makes when you fire it up. So the board definitely has problems. So there it is. I brought it back in here and we'll get to that. But first I need to finish working on the Popeye. Okay, so I still need to figure out why I have inverted video. And now I kind of wish, even though I'm sure this board works fine, there is one more person that makes one of these adapters. And I wish I had bought that now, because that one has jumpers on it where you can change the jumpers to change the inverted signal for inverted and non-inverted, where this one doesn't. And that other board also has a jumper on there where you can jump it to where if you need an external audio amplifier or if you don't need an external amplifier. So it's got a jumper on there for amplified sound or non-amplified sound. So I kind of wish I had got that, because if I did, I wouldn't have this problem. I'd be able to just move the jumper and find out if the problem is the board is putting out normal color signals, or if it's inverted, or if this is not inverting them like it should, or what the problem is. So I'm going to have to go about it in the hard way. I've decided to take this is the jammer harness extension here, and I got a jammer pin out, and I got the Popeye pin out, and I also got the Donkey Kong Jr. pin out, which has the monitor pin out. But right now I'm not going to need this. What I'm going to try first is I'm going to go ahead and find the wires in the jammer harness here where it comes out of the jammer connector for the monitor. I'm going to cut them in two. I'm going to put a connector in between it so I can plug it up and it would be normal just like it is. Or I can unplug it, and then I'm going to make a pigtail that'll plug into the side that goes to the game. And then I'm going to take whatever pins are on the jammer connector here, where it's soldered to the board. I'm just going to solder wires onto the monitor outputs, the red, the green, the blue, and the sync and the ground. And we're going to be able to use that pigtail to unplug the harness here and plug it directly into the harness. That way it'll be bypassing this inverter on the adapter altogether. That way I'll be able to run the native output of this board, whatever it is. It's supposed to be inverted because Nintendo boards are inverted. But if somebody made a modification, if they did replace these proms, and I'm pretty sure these are the color proms, then if I do away with this inverter, and if this is indeed sending out a normal signal, it should work on my jammer monitor. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to go ahead and find some connectors and some wire, and we're going to start cutting and crimping and making this little pigtail adapter. Now if that plan doesn't work, then I'm going to go back to the video monitor here for the Donkey Kong, or the Donkey Kong Jr. cocktail, which I have the double Donkey Kong in. I went out and I took the monitor out. So here's the backup plan. Took the monitor out. The monitor has a problem, so we're going to have to go through the monitor and fix the monitor. But this is the harness that plugs into the monitor down there, and it has a let's see, a 6-pin Molex or amp adapter there. I don't know which. I'm gonna find out. If I have an adapter to fit this, then I'm gonna make an adapter that I'll be able to plug the board directly into this monitor. And of course I have a isolation transformer, 100 volt, that I can plug this into, so that won't be a problem. So I got all bases covered. Now all I got to do is just get to work and get it done. So I'll bring you back when I get it all done. Okay, well, I got her done. What I talked about in the last segment, I had to order me some connectors because I didn't have them, but these turned out to be Molex connectors. And let me show you what I did. First, I found the wires for the monitor, the red, blue, and green sink and the ground, and I took the jammer extension and I cut them, and then I put two connectors together. So right now, with the connectors right here together, it's just like I hadn't modified the jammer extender. So the output from the Mike's Arcade Classic Nintendo to jammer adapter will be sent to the monitor in its normal configuration. Okay. Now, what I did was I added this pigtail with the same connector, and I put it on the input side, or the connector that connects direct to the Popeye board. So this is the monitor output straight from the board. So this would be the signals coming off the board, the native signals, which you would send to a Nintendo monitor, because this one here should have the inverted colors. That's if the proms hadn't been modified on the board. Okay, so if I want to bypass the inverter on the Mike's adapter, all I have to do is unplug this plug and take this pigtail and plug it in. Now the signal bypasses the inverter on the adapter, so that I can view what's coming off the board on the standard monitor. So that's how I'm going to find out what's going on, because I still don't know whether this board is putting out the standard Nintendo monitor signal, or if somebody had burnt the proms to put out the standard signal so that you could run the board directly to a standard monitor, or if, you know, the inverter on the card is bad. So first, let me go ahead and hook this up, and we'll turn the board on, and we'll run it through the inverter direct to the monitor, and I'll let you see what it looks like. Okay, all right, let's turn the game on. Now this is what the video looks like on a standard jammer cabinet running through the Mike's Arcade Classic Nintendo to jammer adapter. And as you can see, the picture looks a little washed out. Let me cut this light off. You might be able to see it a little bit better now. But the game board is fully functional now, and it works. Now, the monitor hasn't been adjusted. If you remember from my first video, or if you watched my other videos where I had my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in Time board hooked up to the monitor. The monitor hasn't been readjusted, so the monitor should be pretty well tuned in. Now, every game is a little different, so you may have to do a little adjusting here and there, but it ought to be close enough to render a fairly good picture. So anyway, this is what it looks like with the just a standard setup. And the picture looks like it's inverted because the background is white, it should be black, and all the colors are wrong. Okay, now let me go ahead and cut the game off. Now I'm going to unplug the connector in the jammer extension, and I'm going to plug the board output directly into the jammer extension. Right here. So this is the pigtail that goes directly onto the output of the video on the board. So we're bypassing the inverter that's on the adapter here. So let's go ahead and turn the game on and see what that looks like. All right, well, as you can see, it looks a little different, but it still looks inverted. But the colors are off. But the colors look a lot better. They're a lot vivid. They're more vivid. But it almost looks like some of the colors are correct and some of them are not. Interesting. But it still looks like it's a negative because, well, yeah, the colors are just off. But the picture looks a lot better. It looks cleaner. So yeah, it's definitely a difference. So I wonder what the deal is. Is the inverter on the adapter bad? Okay, well, let me cut it off. Now we got one more surprise here. Hang tight. Okay, well, now we're going to have the ultimate test. I've taken the pigtail that takes the output of the board and bypassing the adapter, and this time I've run it down and plugged it into the original harness that came out of my Donkey Kong Jr. cocktail, and it runs over here and plugs in to the monitor that came out of my Donkey Kong Jr. cocktail. Yep, that's right. And you've probably already seen the videos, if you've watched any of my videos, where this monitor had horizontal collapse, and I went through, I think, a series of 4 videos where we found out that it had a bad corroded winding on the horizontal yoke. The horizontal winding on the yoke was bad, so I had to replace the yoke. Thanks again to Rob for sending me the replacement yoke. So anyway, the monitor is now fully functional. And if you didn't see that video, well, go back and watch it. So anyway, let's turn the game on. And I'll turn on the isolation transformer here for the monitor. And bingo! Look at that. It's working fine. So that tells me that there's nothing wrong with the Popeye board. It's putting out the standard Nintendo video signals, which is the, I guess it's inverted from a standard monitor. So that's why we were getting the inverted colors on the monitor. But that also tells me that that Mike's classic Nintendo to jammer adapter, the inverter is not working on that. And that was brand new. I just bought it. And if you watch the series from the beginning, you'll know that it's never worked since the first time I hooked it up. So it's always been messed up. But I can't send it back because, let's face it, before I didn't really realize, I had a suspicion it was bad, but I didn't really know for sure until just now. So anyway, I've modified the adapter, so I'm not going to worry about it. But we still want to fix it. So I went ahead and luckily the number of this inverter chip here, well, the chip that they're using to inverter, it's actually an op amp. It does have the numbers on it. They were nice enough not to sand off the numbers. A lot of people, when they build boards like this, they'll sand off the numbers so that you can't tell what the chip was, so nobody can copy it. Well, anyway, I took the number off the chip and I ordered some spare chips. So we're going to pull this chip off of here, and I believe I can test it in my tester, and we'll just put a socket in and we'll put in a new chip and we'll see if we can't fix it. It's such a simple board. I mean, it can't be anything else wrong with it except for that chip is bad. It's nothing but a couple resistors and a capacitor, couple capacitors, and that's it. So unless when they built it, they made a mistake and put a wrong value resistor, or maybe one of the parts, and they all look like new parts. Maybe there's a bad part there somewhere besides the chip. I don't know, but I'm betting that chip is bad. So we're going to go ahead and change that chip and find out if we can fix it. Oh, and also, the board is fixed. It's working. So the repair is a success. So that's a bonus. Okay, well, let's get and see if we can fix that inverter. Okay, well, let's see how hard this is going to be to get off. This board has very small through-hole traces on it. And usually when they're small, they're hard to get off. It's been my experience, but we'll see. First, let me try. It looks like there's plenty of solder on them, so, and it is a new board, so let me see if I can get anything to come loose here. Yeah, ain't looking too bad. All right, let's see if we can get the rest of these. Oh no, these ain't doing quite as good. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, I think one side, that first side come loose, but that second side is still hanging up a couple of them. It didn't look like there was quite as much solder on those, so let me see if I can't add a little solder to them. And smaller board is a little harder to work on than a big one because it keeps moving around on me. Acts like it's still a little cold. It turned the heat up just a little bit. I changed my setting when I was trying to unsolder the capacitors on my computer motherboard. Those computer motherboards are rough. I had to turn the thing all the way up and it still didn't want to get them. So now I got to tune this back in a little bit. No, it still acts like when I suck the solder off and when I release it, it's in cool down and it sticks to the tip. So it needs to be a little bit hotter. Still feels like it wants to stick. Yep, still sticking. That's weird. Okay. We'll get it. That felt better. All right, let's give that a try. Yeah, I think that got it loose. It's loose, but one pin has got like a little solder ball on the end of it, which is keeping it from coming through the hole. There we go. Okay. Now, let's put it in the tester here, and we'll see if it works, or if it comes up bad. Huh. Nope, comes up as a TL084. Now this chip is actually a TL074, but a 74 and an 84 is really the same chip. It's coming up good, so now I'm wondering what the problem is. Is there another problem on this board? I mean, there's not much more on here. Got some resistors, and you got a capacitor. Very strange. Could it be that this is just incompatible with my monitor? It doesn't like my monitor? Maybe there's nothing wrong with this board if you use it with another monitor, but I don't know what monitor I have in my JAMA cabinet there. I mean, it's the same monitor I've had in it for years, and I've never had another board that didn't work with it. But well, there's always another possibility too, that this transistor tester, I mean the IC tester, isn't 100% accurate. Even though it might be reading it, there still might be something wrong with that chip, but I'm kind of doubting it. I don't know. I just got a bad feeling. I don't have a schematic for the board, so I don't know what the value of the resistors is supposed to be. And I tried to look online to look at a picture, but the one that Mike has on his website is different than this one. The one that he has, it must be different versions. This is version 2.3. The one that's on here, he has the ground going from this pad. It has a ground that goes here and hooks up to these two pins on the edge connector right here. But this one, the ground trace is on the back of the board. So it's just a different version of the board. And I haven't been able to locate a picture of one of these online of this particular version. So I don't know. Well, all I can do is put the socket in and put a new chip in, and if that doesn't do it, then I don't know. There's an awful lot of through holes here that's not used. I'm wondering if something is in the wrong place. Maybe they've got a component in wrong, or maybe the wrong value. This chip has 4 inverters on it, and is only using 3 inverters for the color. One of the one of them's not even used. and it has 3 resistors here, brown, red, red, and there's 3 of those, so that's the 3 for that. Then you got a brown, black, brown. What does that connect to? That don't look like it connects to anything. Yeah. There's a real small trace on this side of the board. It makes a connection. Well, it makes a connection to there, but where does that connect to? That don't connect to nothing. All right, let me study this board and do some beeping with my continuity checker to see if all these components actually go somewhere. I'm wondering if something isn't on the board wrong. I don't know. I'll be back. Okay, well, the socket is in, the new chip is in. So let's turn the game on and see if anything changed. I don't think it will, but you never know. Nope, still the same way. So the op amp wasn't bad. So what's causing this? Okay, well, I'm still hunting down the problem to try to figure out why this Nintendo to jammer adapter is not inverting the video signal from my Popeye board. And so I got thinking about it. I sent off an email to Mike at Mike's Arcade, but hasn't been time for him to give a reply yet. It hasn't been 24 hours. So I also sent a email to Game Fixer, which is a well-known member of Killer List of Video Games. And he repairs boards, and he's been in the Cornot business his entire life. And he's very knowledgeable. If you need an answer to something, check with Game Fixer. He also repairs boards. So if you got a board you need repaired, you can find him on Killer List of Video Games under Game Fixer. And give him a shout, and he might be able to help you out. Okay, well, he suggested, he said, well, the only reason that he could think if the chip was good and everything else on the board was good is maybe the chip wasn't getting proper voltage. So I got thinking, I said, okay, well, let me check the voltage on it. Well, first I looked at the data sheet for the chip. And this is the data chip for the TL074, which is a low noise JFET quad operational amplifier, or for short, an op amp. They're normally used in the audio amplifiers, you know, but I suppose they'll work just as good for video analog signals, evidently. But anyway, I got looking at the pinouts of the chip, and then I looked at some other schematics and whatever. I couldn't find anything dealing with video, but I found a lot of stuff using this in audio applications. And pin 4 is the VCC. Okay, that's the positive power that powers the chip. But if you look on the other side here, you have VCC minus, pin 11. Well, this is a dual voltage chip. So in other words, for it to work, you need a positive supply and a negative supply. And that got me thinking, If you watched my earlier videos, you know that I tried to put my Donkey Kong Junior board, which is a double Donkey Kong, but it's a Donkey Kong Junior board. I tried to hook it up to this adapter, and it wouldn't work. And come to find out, the reason it wouldn't work is because my JAMA cabinet was never wired up for -5 volts. So that got me thinking. I said, okay, let me get my JAMA. I got my JAMA diagram here that shows the pinouts for the JAMA connector. And if you look, pin 5, which is usually a green wire, is for the -5 volts DC. Well, I was missing that. So what I did was I took the adapter here. Let me zoom in on it a little bit. And this right here is on the edge connector that goes into the JAMA harness is pin number 5. So I got it hooked up to my meter here. I got it on continuity, so if I hit the continuity here, hope you can hear that beep. Okay, so I follow the trace on down, and the trace goes down to this pin on the edge connector that goes to the Nintendo board. All right, well, if you look very closely, it's a little trace that jets off of it here and goes down to this via right here. Okay, then on the underside of the board, it goes up here to another via, which was hidden under this capacitor, so I just bent the capacitor over out the way. And if you can hear that, so that's also -5 volt line right there. Then it's got a little trace that runs straight over here. And where does it go? Right to the chip. And where does it go? Right here on pin number 11, which is the negative VCC, or the power rail, the negative power rail for this chip. So this chip was getting powered by +5 volts, but it never got the -5 volts because my JAMA harness was never wired up for -5 volts. So I think I've solved the mystery, but there's only one way to find out for sure. And it was something that I was going to have to do anyway, because I want to be able to test my double Donkey Kong board on my JAMA cabinet here, because I also have a problem with that board. So what I have to do is I went into the cabinet and I looked at the JAMA harness in the cabinet, and it never had a wire in the -5 volts position on either side of the board, because you have on both sides of the board pin 5 here is -5, and on the other side, which is pin E, because one side has numbers and the other side has letters, that was also -5. But on this particular board here, if you go over here and look at it on this side, it's just a dead end. It doesn't go anywhere on the back side. So it only draws the -5 from the component side. So, all right, so what am I going to do? Well, I can either swap out the JAMA harness in my cabinet here, which is really a lot of unnecessary work. And if I had a pin, I could just get me some wire, which I have some green wire here, but I don't have one of those pins. So what I did was, there was several pins in the original JAMA harness that were crimped with no wires on them, and they were just stuck in the connector. I guess they just put some of the extra pins in it just to give it a little more stability when you plug it into the edge connector. So I went ahead and took a little screwdriver and I popped one of them out. So here it is right here. Now, the only thing is it's been crimped without a wire in it. and it's such a small crimp where the wire crimps, I'm not going to be able to get that loose. But where the insulator is, right here, I ought to be able to open that up. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and solder the wire onto this connector and then recrimp the insulator for the strain relief. And then I'll put this in the connector and wire it up to the power supply, because the power supply in the game does have -5 volts. For whatever reason, they never wired it up. Okay, so let me go do that, and maybe I'll bring you back. It's going to be awful hard getting into that game through the front coin door, but I'm going to try to do it, because even if I pulled the game out and went in through the back door, the power supply is turned around backwards from the back doors. The terminals are facing the front of the cabinet. So I'd have to unscrew the power supply and turn it around, and if I can just get to it to get to that one terminal on the power supply, I'm gonna try that first. Okay, let me get set up and I'll bring you back when I'm ready to do it. I don't know if I can get the camera in there where you can see or not, but if nothing else, I'll show you what I'm up against. Okay, step one, I got the wire soldered onto the terminal here. So now let's put the terminal into housing. Okay, well, let me show you what I'm up against. Here's the jammer connector in the cabinet here. And it's not a very long cable on this thing. And this is looking through the coin door right here. And you can see there's the power supply. So, and there's the 5-volt terminal, nothing hooked to it. We got 5 volts and then 12 volts hooked up to it. But that's it, ground, and then the AC going into it there. So yeah, I'm going to try to get through this coin door and try to hook that wire up. Now I've noticed something else. This connector right here, I'm pretty sure I put this sticker on here. I've had this cabinet for a good 20 years. And I labeled this the component side, and I got an arrow pointed that way saying that the key goes up here. But if you look, this thing is wired up completely backwards. The letter side is on the component side, where according to this, the number is supposed to be on the component side and the letters are supposed to be on the solder side. So also, it's only got one 5-volt line. It's a good heavy-duty wire there, and it's got a heavy-duty black wire for the ground, and the other ground's probably going to the control panel, because they're small wires. So it's only basically got two, one 5-volt ground and one 5-volt positive there. And this other big wire, the yellow wire, is 12-volt. So yeah, that's kind of weird, because there's pin 1 and it says up, so that should be the component side right there. But it's not. If it was, then it's wired backwards. So all jammer connectors are not equal. Maybe this is before it's supposed to be standardized. That's weird. So anyway, I got to make sure I put it in the right connector. So I need to put it on the component side, because that's the only side that the Nintendo jammer adapter is using the -5-volt. So it should still be 5 back. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it should go right there where the X is. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in, and then I'll fish the wire up under here and bring it out in here, and then I'll see if I can't get to that connector there. Okay, well, that's about the best I can do. The game has another access door over on the right hand side of the coin door. So I took that off and kind of can get a picture of it there. So let me see if I can get in here now, and if I can get this 5-volt terminal loose. Okay. I think I took it too far. That's going to be tricky to get to. And I got to find out the right size terminal for it. I never can remember what size terminal this is. I got an array of different sizes. In case anybody's wondering, the spade connector I use for the power supply is for 22 through 18 AWG gauge, so 22 to 18 gauge, and it's for a 4-6 stud. So I would imagine that's the size of the screw. Is it can fit anywhere between a number 4 to a number 6. So I guess 8 would be a little too big if you had them for 8. I was thinking they were 8, but this fit just fine, and it fit in the slot. A lot of times, you know, they're too wide between the fork. They either won't fit the screw, or they'll fit the screw, but they're too wide, and they won't fit between the little partition between the screws. But this seemed to fit fine. So if you can find that brand, I guess, or anything as close to that, and depending on your size wire, like I say, these are between 22 and 18 gauge, and it's got the red insulator on it. The ones with the blue insulation is for a thicker wire, so if you go with a thicker gauge wire, you want to get the blue ones. But normally the red ones will work pretty much on anything, unless you got some pretty beefy wires for the 5-volt and the ground. So I just thought I'd add that in, because I'm always forgetting which one it is, and I bought so many size connectors that I have to grab the whole lot of them every time I need one, so and match them up. So just thought I'd add that in. Okay, well, I got the end on the wire here. So let's see if I can get it in the slot. I'm going to have to put it in from the opposite side, the other ones, and it's not going to hurt nothing. Just not enough room to get in over there. Okay. Okay, that's good and tight. All right. Got that done. Now let's go ahead and fire it up and get a voltmeter out and see if we got it in the harness like we're supposed to. Okay, well, here's the moment of truth. I got the board hooked up So let's go ahead and power it up and see what happens. All right, looks like we have success. Let me cut this light off here. That's a nice looking picture on that monitor. I don't know if the camera is picking up just how nice it is. It actually looks better than the Nintendo monitor. Of course, that Nintendo monitor has a lot of burn in it. But that's a perfect picture right there. So the conclusion is the problem with the adapter was that my cabinet wasn't wired up for -5 volts. So if you have a Mike's Arcade classic Nintendo to jammer adapter, make sure your cabinet is wired up for -5 volts, because it will not work without it. All right. Well, I guess we can finally say that this Nintendo Popeye board repair was a complete success. The only thing we have left to do is to play a game, but the way I got it set up here is kind of hard to do, so I'm going to have to move the board, and I'll set it down here out the way, move the table, and resituate the camera, and put a chair up there, and see if I can play it with this funky 8-way joystick that I got on here. These joysticks they're pretty good for fighting games like Street Fighter 2, something like that, but I don't imagine they're going to be too awful good for Popeye, but we'll give it a try. Okay, well, now that we got the board repaired and we got it displaying on the jammer monitor here, let's go ahead and turn it on, and I'm going to play a game of Popeye. Probably the first time I've played a game of this since it was new in the arcade, because I haven't seen one on location in years. Okay. Let me adjust it a little bit here, because I was playing around with the double Donkey Kong, so I changed some of the settings. Okay, it looks pretty good. Okay, well, I don't have this set on free play because I don't have a high score save kit for it. Now, I'll probably order a high score saves kit because that gives you not only the ability for high score, it saves the high scores, which this doesn't, because when you turn the game off, you lose all your high scores. It also gives you free play, although in my arcade I like to use tokens, and I have my game set up. Well, this one here only has one token mechanism, and it's an electronic one, so you can open it up and you can put a token in the mechanism, and it'll sense the token, or you can put a quarter in there and it'll sense the quarter. So I just got a token in there, so this takes tokens only. But I could set it up for free play. We'll just have to see. But anyway, right now it's on tokens. So let's go ahead and play a game of Popeye. Now I'm going to warn you, I'm pretty sure I suck at this. Yeah, I suck. This joystick is an 8-way joystick, and it's a fighting joystick. It's not very good for this game. Yep, I suck. Well, that wasn't very eventful. Let's try another one. Darn. I just can't get this joystick to work right. Okay, let's try it again. Dang it. Gotcha. Take that. I think what it is, going up the steps, I'm trying to input diagonal, and you gotta push up, not diagonal. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Ah! Darn it. Can't get it to go down. Really need a 4-way joystick, I guess. Gotta stay away from Brutus, Blue Toe, or whatever his name is. All right. I'm a glutton for punishment. I never get to round 2. Oh, man. Okay. Again. Got him quick that time. Got him! Ah! Didn't see that old hag. Ah! hard game. I think the last time I played it was years ago. It was in Chuck E. Cheese. That's about the only place I can recall ever seeing it. I don't believe I've ever seen it in any other arcade, except for maybe we had over in Virginia Beach, we had an Aladdin's Castle. Probably had one over there. But never really seen one in a lot of the arcades back in the day. He just won't give up. I'm getting a little more used to the joystick, but still. Boy. Okay, well, that's enough for now, but I got some practicing to do. But anyway, I can't wait to get it in the Donkey Kong Jr. cocktail, because with the even though the cocktail has that weird angle for the joysticks, it's still, I'm sure, a lot better controlling with the original Nintendo four-way joysticks. So anyway, success. We got the board playing at 100%. We got the adapter going, all because whoever built this JAMA cabinet never hooked up the -5 volts. So remember that if you have a Mike's Arcade classic Nintendo to JAMA adapter, make sure your cabinet, your JAMA cabinet, is wired up for -5 volts, or it's not going to work. Okay, well, with that said, this one is over. So all I can say is this has just been another arcade fix. Have you had your arcade fix today?
I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. Popeye the Sailor Man. I'm going to finish because I keep living. I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. I'm one of the loaders which takes all the loaders what takes on the up and square. Like this and I bottom and always outrun them, but none of them get nowhere.